Think about last night's dinner. You bought a beautiful, plump package of chicken breasts from your usual neighborhood supermarket. You preheated your favorite skillet, tossed in a little oil, and dropped the meat in, expecting that beautiful golden brown sear. Instead, you got a swamp. Within 30 seconds, a wave of mysterious cloudy liquid poured out of the meat, filling the skillet to the brim. Your chicken wasn't searing, it was boiling in its own corporate juices. By the time it finished cooking, those massive juicy breasts shrank into sad, rubbery golf balls. You probably blamed your cooking skills, your pan, or your stove temperature. Stop doing that. You did nothing wrong. The chicken did exactly what it was engineered to do. The multi-billion-dollar poultry industry played you, and you paid premium meat prices for literal tap water. What if I told you that the worst offender on our 12-store testing list isn't some sketchy discount dollar store or a bargain bin, but one of the most beloved, aesthetically pleasing, trusted retail giants in America? A place where you probably happily bought groceries earlier this week. They scored dead last, and their deception is hidden right under your nose. Drop the store where you buy your chicken in the comments right now, completely off the top of your head. By the end of this deep dive, you will know exactly where it lands on our scale of integrity. You will find out how the front of the packaging is a carefully constructed fairy tale designed by marketing executives, while the back contains the harsh scientific reality. I will show you how two seemingly identical chicken breasts sitting side by side on a grocery shelf can be completely different products under the hood. We will dismantle the sneaky word games that giant conglomerates use to inflate their profit margins at your expense. You will learn the hidden industry mechanics that turn ordinary poultry into a high-yield squid sponge, ensuring you never get ripped off at the meat counter again. Make sure you stick around because our number one most shocking, ultimate betrayal of consumer trust comes right near the end, and it will fundamentally change how you walk through the supermarket aisle before we drag specific brands through the mud. We need to understand the basic anatomy of a modern grocery store chicken and how the system is rigged. Think of a high-quality chicken like a well-built, naturally aspirated sports car. It should be lean, solid, and efficient. The poultry industry has figured out a way to turn that sports car into a bloated, waterlogged minivan without you noticing. It all comes down to processing and weight. When a chicken is slaughtered, it needs to be cooled down immediately to prevent bacterial growth. Decades ago, this was done naturally or through localized butchers, but modern mass-scale production demands extreme speed. The industry solved this speed problem by building massive industrial swimming pools filled with ice-cold water and chemical sanitizers. The freshly slaughtered birds are dumped into these communal vats by the thousands, tumbling around together for under an hour. Here's the fundamental flaw in that design. While the chicken sits in that freezing bath, the muscle fibers act like an old kitchen sponge. The meat actively drinks in that dirty tank water, absorbing it deep into the tissue. The government recognizes this and allows companies to sell you this retained liquid under a legal loophole, as long as they print a tiny microscopic disclaimer on the back of the package. This process is called water chilling, and it is the ultimate corporate cash cow. When you buy a 5-pound family pack of standard supermarket chicken, up to 12% of that total weight isn't protein at all. It's just trapped chilling water. You are quite literally paying $6 or $7 a pound for municipal tap water that evaporates into useless steam the second it hits your hot frying pan. To make matters worse, corporations take this waterlogged foundation and inject it with even more fluid through a process called enhancement. They use industrial matrices of needles to pump the meat full of a chemical solution containing water, heavy sodium, and mysterious natural flavorings. Imagine buying a brand new smartphone, but the manufacturer filled the internal battery casing with heavy sand just so it feels more substantial in your hand. That is what enhancement does to your food. It masks low-quality, dry meat by artificially plumping it up with cheap salt water, spiking your daily sodium intake while making you feel like you got a massive, juicy cut of meat for a bargain. The alternative to this madness exists, but it costs big corporations more time and space to execute, which is why they hate it. It is called air chilling. Instead of a giant communal bath, each bird is hung individually on a track and moved through blast-freezing chambers where cold, dry air circulates around the meat. It takes hours instead of minutes. The meat loses a tiny bit of moisture instead of absorbing a swamp, resulting in highly concentrated, real chicken flavor and a texture that crisps up beautifully when cooked. It is the difference between a real leather jacket and a cheap synthetic knockoff that falls apart in the rain. Yet, When you walk into a standard American grocery store, the big, bright labels on the front will scream phrases like all natural or no added hormones to distract you from checking whether that bird was drowned in a vat or chilled by air. The industry counts on your fatigue and your trust to keep their water-selling machine running smoothly. Let us dive straight into the Hall of Shame, starting with the household names you trust on autopilot. If you have already felt a sudden urge to pause this video and check the expiration date on the package in your fridge, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Because the deeper we dig into these corporate practices, the colder the reality gets. We start our countdown of failures at number 9 with Tyson, a multi-billion-dollar behemoth that dominates the American poultry landscape. You see that familiar blue and yellow logo in almost every Walmart and Kroger across the nation, and your brain instantly associates it with old-school American agriculture. But Tyson is where consumers learn a brutal lesson about linguistic gymnastics. The most dangerous trick in the grocery store isn't a lie. It is a legal definition printed in font so small you need reading glasses to see it. If you look below the bold branding on many of Tyson's standard fresh trays, you will find the phrase contains up to 15% solution of water, salt, and natural flavoring. That is not an ingredient list. It is a corporate confession. Tyson didn't just chill this bird, they actively weaponized a matrix of needles to pump a heavy, salty liquid deep into the muscle tissue before wrapping it in plastic. When you toss this meat into a hot skillet, it doesn't sizzle, it gasps out that trapped solution, turning your kitchen into a humid sauna and leaving you with a rubbery, shrunken strip of protein that tastes more like a salt block than a farm-raised bird. You are paying premium per pound meat prices for industrial brine. It is a brilliant financial scam wrapped in plastic, and it relies entirely on you shopping with your eyes closed. Moving along the aisle, let us talk about number 8 on our list, Aldi. Now, this one comes with a massive twist that completely shatters the snobbery of modern grocery shopping. Most people roll into Aldi expecting the absolute bottom of the barrel, cheap linoleum floors, cardboard boxes on shelves, and budget meat. But our independent evaluation revealed that Aldi actually punches way above its weight class with their specialized Never Any house brand. This specific line features birds raised completely without antibiotics, zero animal byproducts in their feed, and a remarkably clean, honest back label. But here is why Aldi still lands on the failing side of our breakdown. Their baseline, ultra-cheap family packs completely skip this upgrade. If you mindlessly grab the cheapest yellow tray on the shelf, you are stepping right into the standard industrial matrix. Sourcing transparency completely vanishes, and the origin data becomes non-existent. While we are staring at these bargain shelves, let us permanently kill a corporate marketing myth that steals money from your wallet every single week. You will see giant, proud stamps on chicken packages proclaiming no added hormones, as if the company threw in a premium health benefit for free. It is a total lie of omission. The FDA legally banned the use of added hormones in all poultry production way back in the 1950s. Stamping that on a chicken package is exactly like a bottle of tap water bragging that it is gluten-free. It is legally mandatory for everyone, but they frame it as a luxury feature to distract you from the lack of actual quality certifications. If you think a more traditional supermarket saves you from these traps, think again. Number 7 is Kroger, the largest traditional supermarket chain in the country. The illusion here is deep. You walk into a brightly lit Kroger, see the massive, neat meat counter, and assume everything is uniform. The reality is that the Kroger poultry aisle is actually 2 entirely different stores occupying the exact same shelf space, separated by about 3 feet. On one side, you have the massive, deeply discounted promotional mounds of standard house brand chicken. These are the wet, pale trays that undergo the standard water immersion chilling process, drinking in communal tank fluid until they are bloated and heavy. On the other side sits their Simple Truth organic line, which offers a genuinely superior, cleaner profile. Kroger fails the systemic trust test because the corporate layout actively rewards the rushed, budget-conscious consumer with the lazy, waterlogged option while quietly hiding the actual quality behind a premium price tier. The store is relying on your muscle memory to steer your hand toward the high-yield, watery bargain cut. This brings us to number 6. Members Mark, the house brand of Sam's Club. People buy wholesale for a singular reason, bulk savings. But bulk purchasing introduces a terrifying scaling effect that nobody warns you about at the membership desk. When you buy a small, single tray of cheap chicken, a few ounces of retained processing water feels like a minor annoyance. But when you load your cart with a massive 15-pound commercial tray destined for your deep freezer, that small percentage multiplies exponentially. You are suddenly buying literal pounds of industrial chilling water at the exact same per-pound price as the meat. The nominal bulk savings you thought you secured at the checkout lane are literally leaking onto your kitchen counter as the meat thaws. The plastic vacuum seals make it completely impossible to inspect the texture or check for excess purging liquid before you buy, turning a budget-conscious shopping trip into an expensive gamble. Our number 5 slot belongs to Purdue, a brand that built its entire legacy on consumer trust and wholesome family farming imagery. This one cuts deep because Purdue spent decades convincing the American public that their process was inherently cleaner and more ethical. While their premium no antibiotics ever line holds up reasonably well, their standard commercial chicken packages tell a completely different story. Flip over a basic pack of Purdue breasts and you will look in vain for the word air-chilled. It isn't there. Despite the premium reputation and the friendly face of corporate advertising, their baseline product is run through the exact same high-speed, water-chilling communal tanks as the generic store brands. They are charging you a premium brand tax solely for the psychological comfort of their logo, while giving you the exact same waterlogged, shrinking product under the hood. Trusting a brand based on childhood nostalgia is the fastest way to get fleeced at the modern meat case. As we cross into the final 4, the illusion of quality completely disintegrates, starting with number 4, Food Lion. This regional staple thrives on a homey-friendly neighborhood image. The branding makes you feel like the bird was sourced from a red barn just down the state highway. But a cozy logo is not a legal guarantee of transparency. Food Lion's everyday chicken is the ultimate generic commodity product dressed up in Southern hospitality. Sourcing data on their standard trays is practically non-existent. The labels give you absolutely zero concrete information about where the bird was raised or how it was processed. The better dry-chilled options are frequently hidden, understocked, or entirely absent, leaving the consumer with no choice but to buy the heavy water-bathed bargain cuts that turn your dinner into a soggy, boiling mess. Number 3 takes us to Safeway, where we uncover the ultimate structural omission trick. When a poultry brand spends the extra capital to cool their chicken using advanced, hygienic air-chilling technology, they will scream it from the rooftops. It will be printed in massive, bold letters right across the front panel because it justifies a higher price point. When you look at Safeway's standard commercial trays and realize the word air-chilled is completely absent, that silence tells you everything you need to know. It means the meat went through the cheapest, fastest, high-volume water bath available, soaking up communal moisture to inflate the weight on the digital scale. Safeway carries an upscale alternative called Open Nature, but the standard packs rely on the consumer being completely oblivious to what is missing from the label. The scale of deception peaks at number 2 with Walmart's all-natural baseline, poultry. This is the absolute epicenter of the high-volume water scam. Walmart moves more food than almost anyone else, and to maintain their rock-bottom prices, efficiency is pushed to a ruthless extreme. When you read the microprint on a massive Walmart family pack, you will routinely find notifications acknowledging up to the legal limit of retained water. In a massive 5-pound package, that translates to half a pound of chemical-laced chilling fluid. If you feed your family chicken every single week, by the end of the year, you have spent dozens of dollars of your hard-earned grocery budget on tap water that turned into steam. The lowest sticker price on the shelf is a complete mathematical illusion designed to make you pay for liquid weight. But all of these brands pale in comparison to our number 1 ultimate consumer betrayal, Target. You walk into Target and everything feels premium, clean, and elevated. Their store brand looks like it belongs in a high-end boutique, featuring gorgeous, minimalist graphic design and pristine typography. You willingly pay a premium because the packaging makes you feel safe and sophisticated. But under that beautiful, modern design layer lies the absolute biggest gap between marketing imagery and industrial reality on this entire list. Target's standard chicken is processed using the exact same low-cost, high-speed water immersion methods as the cheapest discount chains. The beautiful box exists solely to exploit your visual trust and prevent you from flipping the package over to realize you are buying a heavily retained water bird with zero farm traceability. The prettier the font on the front, the more the corporation is counting on you never reading the back. And now, what it was worth watching all the way through for. We are stepping out of the industrial swamp and moving into the light of absolute consumer relief. The horror show is over, and your reward for paying attention is a definitive, zero-nonsense guide to the American poultry brands that refuse to sell you waterlogged lies. We are ranking the top 3 absolute champions of transparency and production ethics, moving from the most accessible warehouse option straight to the ultimate golden standard of meat. Coming in at number 3 is Whole Foods Market. If your mental image of Whole Foods is just a ridiculously overpriced grocery playground with a corporate halo, you need to look closer at their actual meat counter. The foundational philosophy here is entirely different from the fast-paced commodity model. Every single piece of fresh, raw chicken sold under their house banner or featured at their butcher station is strictly required to be 100% air-chilled. They ban the use of water immersion cooling tanks entirely. Additionally, their entire fresh poultry supply chain is verified by the Global Animal Partnership, a multi-tiered animal welfare certification program with rigorous, publicly auditable standards. This means no restrictive cages, no overcrowding, and real structural rules for how the birds are handled. In practice, this creates a profound sensory difference that you can physically feel the moment you open the pack. The meat is dense, deep pink, and completely dry to the touch. When you place a Whole Foods chicken breast into a hot cast iron skillet, it behaves exactly like real meat should. It sears instantly, developing a dark, caramelized, beautiful crust without throwing a single drop of cloudy liquid into the pan. Now, let us analyze the price honestly. Yes, the initial register price is undeniably higher than a basic bargain tray at a standard supermarket, averaging around $5 to $7 per pound for standard cuts. But when you break down the actual cost per cooked serving, that difference shrinks dramatically. You are paying exclusively for pure, usable muscle tissue. Because zero water is trapped inside the bird during processing, your meat does not evaporate into useless steam. What you buy on the digital scale is exactly what ends up on your dinner plate, making the premium justified for anyone who values actual food over processing residue. If you do not have a Whole Foods near your house, you can hunt for a widely distributed premium brand called Smart Chicken, which is carried by many mainstream regional grocery stores like Kroger, Target, and Hy-Vee. Smart Chicken pioneered commercial air chilling in the United States, and their hand-trimmed cuts offer that exact same pristine, moisture-free cooking experience. Smart Chicken, our number 2 spot, goes to the ultimate king of unexpected grocery upgrades, Costco. The common belief is that Costco is just a massive bulk warehouse where everything is stripped down to the bare, industrial minimums to save pennies. But our independent investigation revealed that Costco quietly pulled off one of the most consumer-friendly supply chain overhauls in modern retail history. A vast majority of their Kirkland Signature fresh chicken trays have been completely upgraded to a certified air-chilled process. Here is the absolute kicker that should make every single viewer subscribe immediately. Costco did not hike their baseline prices to pay for this premium upgrade. You are getting a high-end, dry-chilled manufacturing process at a rock-bottom warehouse price point, frequently landing under $4 a pound for massive multi-packs. The sensory payoff is massive. The vacuum-sealed pouches are remarkably clean, holding zero heavy pools of pinkish purge liquid at the bottom. The meat holds its structural shape beautifully in the freezer and cooks down without the massive tragic shrinkage that ruins standard bulk meat. There is one honest downside you need to keep in mind. This upgrade is not universally applied to every single cut in every region. Some specific club packages of bone-in thighs or drumsticks still use the standard water-chilled method depending on localized supplier rotations. You cannot shop completely on brand name autopilot. You must read the specific label on each tray during your warehouse trip. When you see that bold air-chilled stamp on a Kirkland Signature box, grab it immediately. It represents one of the highest mathematical values in the entire modern American meat aisle. Finally, we arrive at our number 1 undisputed champion of the poultry world, Bell & Evans. This family-owned operation, based out of Pennsylvania, completely rejects the high-speed corporate playbook, and they have the data to prove it. Bell & Evans is 100% air-chilled across their entire product universe. They do not maintain a cheap, watered-down baseline line to trick low-budget shoppers. They utilize an advanced, multi-stage blast chilling system that allows them to proudly carry an official, USDA-verified no-retained water claim across their packaging. Every single ounce of weight you pay for at the register is pure, unadulterated meat. Their birds are raised entirely on a clean, USA-grown grain diet with zero animal byproducts and absolutely no antibiotics ever. They are incredibly transparent about their agricultural timeline, utilizing slow growth breed strains that naturally develop firmer, highly structured muscle tissue instead of the unnaturally bloated, weak fibers found in high-speed industrial birds. When you cook a Bell & Evans breast, the difference is shocking. The skin crisps up like glass, the meat retains its natural juices internally instead of purging them into the pan, and the flavor is intensely rich and savory. It feels like real, traditional food from a century ago. It is certainly a premium product with a higher upfront cost, often running $7 to $9 a pound depending on the store, but because there is zero industrial brine or tank water inside the fibers. The real price per pound of actual cooked protein is incredibly close to the deceptive corporate alternatives. Bell & Evans wins our highest recommendation because they put the complete truth back on the label, proving that when a company has nothing to hide, they do not need to play word games. To make sure you never get ripped off by industrial water merchants again, take a quick screenshot of this 5-second checklist and pull it up the next time you are standing in front of the cold case at Walmart, Safeway, or Publix. Step 1 is to immediately flip the package over. Completely ignore the front of the tray because the front panel is pure marketing fiction, whereas the back contains the legally mandated truth. Step 2 is to look for one specific phrase, air chilled. If those words are explicitly printed on the back wrapper, you have a green light to drop it into your cart. If they are missing, you must safely assume the bird was bloated in a high-speed communal drowning tank. Step 3 is to inspect the water retention declaration line. Actively scan the small print for the phrase, may contain up to X% retained water. A lower percentage means less money wasted, and finding a package that proudly states 0 retained water is the absolute gold standard for your budget. Step 4 is to read the official, full product name line under the barcode, not the massive font on the sticker. If the formal text reads, with up to 15% solution, your hand should immediately drop the package back onto the shelf because that bird was injected with industrial salt water through a matrix of needles. If it simply states chicken breast, you are looking at pure protein. Step 5 is to search for a verifiable quality signal. Look for a genuine farm origin name or a trusted animal welfare seal like the Global Animal Partnership Badge. A cartoon drawing of a happy farm bird on the front is completely meaningless. You need structural accountability on the back. 5 steps, 5 seconds of your time, and once you do it twice, the routine becomes completely automatic. When you look at the entire American poultry landscape, the systemic truth is incredibly simple. Major household names and premium retail giants like Target, Walmart, Safeway, and Food Lion all fail the basic integrity test for the exact same underlying reason. They choose high-speed industrial processing models that prioritize corporate yield over product quality. Conversely, brands like Whole Foods, Costco's Kirkland Signature line, and Bell & Evans successfully stand out because they structurally put the real food story back onto the consumer label. But none of this breakdown is meant to induce irrational panic. No chicken sitting on a mainstream American shelf is inherently dangerous or toxic to consume. The industrial system isn't trying to poison your family. It is simply optimized for hyper-efficient mass velocity, and that extreme speed leaves transparency off the wrapper. This investigation was never about scaring you away from the meat counter or forcing you into an expensive lifestyle change. It was about giving you an entirely new pair of analytical eyes, so you can stop being a passive victim of corporate marketing teams. Next time you stand in that chilly supermarket aisle, you won't have to guess or rely on brand loyalty. You will confidently flip that plastic package over, look for the words air chilled, calculate the true water line, and read the fine print. 5 seconds is all it takes to keep your hard-earned grocery money in your wallet instead of watching it turn into useless steam over a hot stove. The front panel belongs to the corporate executives, but the back panel belongs to you. A simple store ranking helps you out for one afternoon, but knowing how to read a meat label protects your household budget for the rest of your life. I want to hear from you down in the comments right now. Did your go-to neighborhood store make our wall of shame today, or did they actually pass the test? I read every single comment you post. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time watching this investigation, and make sure to share this video with a friend or family member who buys those massive family packs every single week without checking the label. If you want to see how the food industry pulls the exact same weight inflation tricks in the frozen seafood aisle, click on the related video popping up on your screen right now. Stop buying water, start reading labels, and I will see you in the next consumer test. Everything you need to know is always on the back.